Okay, now on to what we've been waiting for, our first growth stage company to pitch this afternoon, Drone Complier, SaaS software providing regulatory and industry compliance management and data solutions for drones. So please welcome their CEO of Drone Complier, Rochat, to the stage. If he is anywhere.
Good day, everybody. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Rochat, CEO and founder, together with Brian Whiteside, Danger Zone movie, former F-18 pilot. I'd like to explain a little bit of what we do. We are helping companies moving from a non-aviation space into an aviation space utilizing drones. So many of you have heard of all the nice opportunities coming along, Amazon doing package deliveries, pizza deliveries through Domino's, all of that. All of that can happen only if people make sure that all the compliance regulations around that is taken care of. Some of examples that I give over here is 2 years ago at the World Skiing Championships, a drone nearly hit a skier as it came down. In Australia, there was a marathon runner that completed the marathon and the drone fell out of the sky and she had to be taken away by ambulance. And what we try to help companies with is to understand there are rules and regulations. So you've got some manuals over there. You become part of the aviation space. There's safety things that you need to take care of, risk management, all of those activities, and to realize you are sharing the airspace with other real aircraft. A drone is an aircraft. A lot of people believe they can just go out, buy a drone, so that's the top line over there. Charge the battery, go and fly, take the video, and put it on YouTube or use it wherever they want to. The reality is you have to treat it just like you will do any transport business. You have your operating procedures, checklists. You need to make sure that all the risk management is taken care of. Then you have to go and plan the missions. You have to make sure that once it's planned and you have all the rules and regulations, it actually goes out to the pilots and they do what needs to be done according to the rules and regulations. Once that's finished, how do they use all of those data that has been captured? How do you manage it? How do you analyze that? And that is what we are helping companies to do. We do that with our software solution. It's a software as a service model. It's called Drone Complier. We've been doing this for about 5 years now. And the software has two components. The one is the admin portal, where you will go and plan the missions. You will find out what is legal. Am I allowed to fly at certain areas? Do I need to get permission from the landowner, or do I need extra FAA approvals? All of that gets done before the mission. If we think of a hurricane relief effort, if you then want your pilots to go out into the field, they need to get all that information and all the activities they need to follow needs to be available for them, but there will not be any internet. Utilizing that, they can then synchronize all the data onto their mobile phone. It works offline, and they have all the data with them. When they get back into internet connection, they can then synchronize that back into the head office. As we help companies setting up their software and their programs, a lot of them then realize they need to retrain or upskill a lot of the people that are going to do the flying. We have trained more than 1,500 pilots in a 5-day course to do the drone flying as well as understanding the rules. And part of that whole process in setting up the software is helping companies to define their standard operating procedures. Just a quick one on what the market is like moving forward. So PwC, in July this year, they updated their forecast. It's a $150 billion market in about 2020. And we believe that 2 to 5% of that will be spent on the compliance side of it, around a $3 to $7.5 billion market. Looking at customer traction, so you'll notice that we have local as well as international. So I'll just go on the education side. Central Oregon Community College here in Bend, we do a lot of training for them, for their drone pilots, making sure they are able to go and do commercial work once they're finished. Oregon State University has used our software for more than 2 years now. There are 60-odd pilots utilizing that for research and development and just standard flying. And Embry-Riddle University, which is a Harvard of aviation, they've selected us to be their compliance management solution for all their UAS, which is Unmanned Aerial System degree programs. Looking on the regulation side, We have governments. So in Australia, we've been selected as the official app in Australia. Anybody who wants to fly commercially needs to find out, utilizing our app, whether it's legal to fly there. We have the FAA's Assure program, which is a group of universities researching laws on behalf of the FAA, and they selected us as their software solution. And then SDAO is a Oregon Special Districts Association of Oregon. They insure entities like fire departments, water management, parks and recreation, and we're helping them to make sure that when they have insurance claims, it's all compliant with the rules and regulations. So our business model, how do we make money? It's all focused around the software as a service. It's a subscription model. We look at making everything, the training, the operations, consulting, all of that is built into the software, and it is then sold on as a monthly or an annual fee, adding on to the services. So some of our competitors, one of them that you may notice, Skyward at the bottom, it's a still Portland company, and they had an exit. They were bought by Verizon earlier this year. Moving forward, we have had a lot of traction with a lot of different entities. We are focusing on the enterprise level. So we are looking at leveraging all our government equivalents of the FAA worldwide. We are speaking to several countries right now where they are looking at engaging us to make sure that our solution is the official solution for people to know where they are legally allowed to fly. We have built all the procedures and activities that we need to support entities like the Special Districts Association of Oregon, and enabling the program where we can train the pilots, where we can help the company administrators, as well as managing all the fleets around that. And the universities, we have had a lot of information coming back from them as they do their R&D, which is helping us to further expand the way we reach out into the industries. We also have companies like General Electric, Shell, Exxon, where we actually do services, where we go and do oil well inspections, working out exactly how to automate the inspection services. There are roof inspection services for insurances, all of those activities that we're working with them out in the field and developing our procedures. With the money that we are looking to raise right now, we've had a lot of traction. We've bootstrapped this. Brian and I have only recently started taking money, and we are looking to develop further on our thought leadership. So we have an extensive and in-depth knowledge base, and we would love to share that more. We are focusing a lot on getting salespeople along. So we really need to develop a further sales team, and that's one of the bigger reasons why we are raising money right now, is to help us to go out into the market. We've got more than enough traction in the relevant industries, and we just want to move ahead with that. And then finally, we have our management team. Just a quick one on that one. It's we have in depth. We've got Executive Chairman Bill Sandermeyer, who's part of formerly president of FLIR Systems. He's helping us out. We've got Brian Whiteside, myself, and a few other people as well. So that is it. Time for Q&A.
Great. Nice job. Thanks, Wayne. Wayne asked me to remind everybody that they're filming us with drones right now above. No, did anyone look? I don't think anyone looked. No one believed me. All right, let's move on to questions from our panel.
So you've achieved some nice revenue this year, last year. Can you give us a sense of the breakdown of that revenue from by customer? How much of that was Australia, and how much of that do you anticipate is actually will be recurring revenue?
So we have about 50-50 revenue between Australia and the US. Customer bases, we have clients from $75 a year for a one-man business up to several $100,000 a year for enterprise clients. So we have a space between that, and most of that is recurring revenue. Some of the training is single training opportunities, but we are engaging with a lot of enterprise clients that keep on sending new pilots that need to be trained into a new industry, because a lot of the people have never been part of the aviation industry. So there's a lot of upscaling and upskilling in the resource department.
It sounds like you have then a mix of what I call SaaS sales and services sales,
Yeah.
right? So consulting sales, if you will, the training. What's your breakout on revenue there, and how do you see that developing over time?
So at the moment, we're about 12% on software services. And looking at 2019, we're looking at that being about 45%. The reason that we have the software and the training and the consulting is, as we developed the software and we wanted to sell it, everybody said, great, we would love to use this, but we don't have anybody who can use it. We don't have the business need for it. And they forced us into giving them training. So as we move through all these training programs and those people graduate, we get more users into the software system. So it's a paid program into, or lead management process at the end of the day.
With that, who ends up being the buyer inside of these organizations?
It's usually people like the risk managers, risk controllers, heads of aviation departments. Those are the people who understand the need for this, the people who take care of insurance. But also you have, because it's such a new industry, there's a lot of people who become really excited about it and they drive it, and then they start selling it internally to the higher management to prove that they need to make sure they have all the rules and regulations taken care of. Example, in the last few weeks we've had a Black Hawk collide with a drone in New York. In Canada last week they had a commercial aircraft, as they were coming into land, collide with a drone. And as soon as those things come out, people realize, oh, we need to make sure that we are taking care of our risks. And that's when we kind of see spikes in the requests from our side.
Just as a follow-on to that, what's sort of the breakdown in terms of, okay, we're an organization who is already engaged in some sort of activities with drones versus we want to, but we don't know what we need to actually cover before?
I would say 3 years ago it would be about 90% want to. In the last 6 months, it's about 60 to 70% of them are already doing drone operations. So the industry has matured to a level where the back-end support services is now becoming in demand, and that's exactly what we provide. And with that maturity, we now become more in demand as well.
So good news and bad news is you're either selling to or getting authorization from governments. They aren't known to move very quickly. And particularly, the FAA and its cousins around the world has been known to, see people die a long, painful death, waiting for them to decide.
Yep.
How do you fight that? How do you deal with that?
So the way we look at that is, in Australia, you may have noticed I'm from Australia. In Australia, it's been legal to fly drones since 2003. In 2006, ICAO, which is the International Civil Aviation Organization based in Montreal, it's a United Nations department, they said they need to set up the rules and regulations for drones. They then went to Australia and asked them to provide the people to help them define those rules. So a lot of the rules you see in Australia, where we started developing this software, is now becoming international rules and regulations. So we actually built this on the requirements of the United Nations, because we know, just like any airline pilot that studies to fly a Delta aircraft into China, they can land in China based upon the ICAO rules that have been ratified. And the same is happening in the drone space. So we have actually built it from the top down, making sure that it is worldwide. We currently have clients in about 40 different countries.
Let's move to a few questions from the audience. Are there burning questions? Maybe while folks are thinking about it, I'd love to hear a little bit more about, you talked about your team, but why is it that your team is the exact right team to build your product in this market?
Well, I'm from a software development background. I've got more than 20 years. I have built another aviation software tool that is currently also being used by the United Nations World Food Program. Brian Whiteside is a former F-18 Navy pilot, and after his activities in the Navy, he became a drone operator and procedures developer for the Navy as well. And he developed the drone programs for the last 8 or 9 years. And we've been blessed through the two knowledge skill sets to be able to bring the business side as well as the technical side together.
That's great. Questions from the audience? Yeah, back there.
You quickly put up a slide about the competition, but can you talk about what your advantages are to the competitors, or maybe other ways for drone operators to learn about the regulations?
Yeah, so around competition, the way we were bootstrapping helped us to engage with pilots on the ground. And that forced us to get into a mindset of helping them with the training, and that gave us a lot of user and feedback and business feedback on what they need in the software. So we actually built it up doing the training, the consulting, and the software. And through all of those processes, utilizing the ICAO rules and regulations, we have developed our solution to a much higher enterprise level where it enforces a lot of compliance regulations, but it's also extremely generic so that it is agnostic in hardware, government rules and regulations. So any day a rule and regulation can change anywhere in the world. The company can go and update that very quickly. A lot of the other companies have done a really good job in helping pilots do their job well. We are really focused on helping companies do their job well and making sure that they follow the insurance and the rules and regulations. So we're looking at it from a C-level perspective and not just only from the person out in the field. Obviously, we do take care of them, but that is our main focus around competition.
All right, looks like we have time for one more question. There you go. I think we can get you a mic. Yeah, there.
Hi, Dave Young at Oregon Rain. Congrats on all your success. So, clear customer problem when the drone collides with a person or a plane, something terrible. But can you talk about the problems for your customers after that happens, and what are the benefits that they enjoy when they use your service and that problem is avoided?
So I like that question. So if you think of somebody going out doing a mission in a certain city, and 2 years later, for some other reason, there's a lawsuit that comes in and says, you guys came along and you flew your drone and it crashed there, and they make something up. You actually have proof who flew it, when did they fly it, what was the hourly weather statistics at that specific time. You have the log files to prove exactly the flight path where they were flying. So if we were at a certain space and what they claim happened on the east, and we can prove that we were flying west, and we have all of that data, that is how you protect yourself. Also, if you have insurance claims, a lot of insurance companies require the data to be kept for 7 years. And then if there are lawsuits or anything like that, they need to see an audit trail that the data was never manipulated or anything like that. And this whole ecosystem brings all of that together.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Wayne, and
Thank
thank you for everyone for your questions. I think we've got one more video lined up right now.